Hey, Storm fans, it's my great pleasure to introduce you all to our new starting goalie, Hayden Lavigne. Hayden, welcome to Manchester.
Thank you.
Now, Hayden, usually we do these interviews prior to signing announcements, but since we've already announced you, it's given the fans an opportunity to send me questions they'd like answers to, and it's quite a mixture, I do warn you. But before we get to the fans' questions, I just want to cover off some that I have for you. So we'll start off just by saying to everybody, you're 26 from Brampton, Ontario, Canada. At what age did you first play hockey?
I started playing hockey as a forward when I was 5, and then I actually played goalie a few times when I was 5 and became a full-time goalie when I was 6.
It's funny because my very next question was going to be, did you always want to play goalie or are you a converted forward?
Yeah, so I have a kind of what I think is a funny story about that. So when you're 5 years old in Canada, everybody kind of plays every position. My team was really bad. We never won. The only game we won was the game that I was in net. And I was like, the only way to win is to be a goalie and make sure we don't get scored on. And then I never looked back.
So speaking of never looking back, so talk us through like how you went from being a kid playing hockey up to college. Like, so what was your junior career like?
I kind of bounced all over the place. So I grew up in like the greater Toronto area, which Brampton's a part of. So I basically just tell people I'm from Toronto, where hockey's pretty prevalent. Played for a couple different organizations in Toronto before I was drafted into the OHL. Ended up playing in the OJHL, which is a junior A league in Canada. Played one season there, and then committed to the University of Michigan at the end of that season when I would have been about 17. And then I went on to play 3 years in the USHL, which is the United States Hockey League, which is a junior league down throughout the U.S. Played on a few different teams there, and then went on and played college for my 4 years at University of Michigan.
So as you said there, you went to college at the University of Michigan. Any particular highlights for your career in college?
Obviously, my sophomore year, we went to the Frozen Four, which was awesome. Like, just a great experience being on a team that was so powerful, and like we won so much, and to be a part of that culture, that winning culture there, which was part of the reason why I chose Michigan. It was just really cool to actually experience it because you hear like when teams win, they talk about how close the groups always were and how they were all like a family, and you really don't realize like how accurate that actually is until you're part of one of those teams that makes it really far into the playoffs. So that was great. And then for my one game, like highlight experience is we played an outdoor game against Notre Dame at Notre Dame Stadium underneath the lights on a Saturday night, which was probably the coolest game I've ever played in.
Yeah, I'll bet those ones always do look fun.
Yeah,
Even if they always look a bit cold for the fans most of the time.
it was good. It was nice and warm. We had like 10 degrees for us. It was perfect.
That's not too bad. For the last Winter Classic, I saw it was people freezing
Yeah.
in the stands. But
Yeah.
okay, so you did your 4 years playing NCAA, and then you started your pro career in the 2021 season. Tell me how
Yep.
your pro career kind of has evolved over the last couple of years, because looking on elite prospects, it kind of looks like you've had lots of teams over that period. You've been through different leagues, ECHL, been on loan in the AHL a couple of times. Like, how's that all worked out?
Yeah. Well, first off, joining like pro hockey with COVID, I feel like was just a very unique time to be joining like the pro ranks. In the ECHL, my first year, only half the teams were playing. So right away, I was cut to half the job opportunities. And then obviously a lot of those guys that typically go over to Europe and England and stuff didn't go over for that season. So there was even more competition. I started my first year pro in the SPHL, played 4 games there before getting called up to Wichita in the ECHL, where I then actually only played 2 games before getting called up to Stockton in the AHL. I spent about 2 months with Stockton. Didn't see any game time, but backed up for a few. Got to practice, like obviously with the team, with the goalie coach. So that was just a really good learning experience for my game. Got to put in a lot of work. Went back down to Wichita, played a handful more games with Wichita, and then got traded to Greenville, where I eventually ended the season with them. And then going on to my second year, I started the year signed with Rapid City, attended Tucson's AHL training camp before reporting to Rapid City's training camp, and then quickly got sent to Pensacola, played a quick game in Pensacola, and then off to Allen, where I spent majority of my career last year. And then kind of bounced around for the end, just getting traded all over the place to whoever kind of needed a goalie. So a lot of learning experiences on how to perform like in new buildings when you're meeting the team right away. A lot of personal growth just in what I was looking for in a team and an organization, and a lot of in-depth thinking into what allows me to be the best I can be. And the moving around that I did in North America was not productive to my playing career.
Yeah, I can't be productive to many things if you get bounced around that much.
Yeah, so that was tough, and that was part of the big shift for why I was looking to come over to England.
Yeah, well, even if you do have to travel, it's much less distance.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's all. Well, I have one more question for you. I see you said you're working on hockey camps over this summer. Can you tell us a bit more about that? What you're doing at the moment?
Yeah. So one of my friends, Brian Canner, owns a goaltending company called Defend the Crease. So basically, he's hosting some camps. I'm a guest coach here for a few weeks with him. We just run through specific drills, working on improvements on the ice. We do some off ice training with the kids to get them faster, stronger. And then obviously the overarching theme is to just try and grow the position of goaltending and hope these kids have fun and want to come back for more. I feel like so many times goalies kind of get pushed to the corner. So the idea is to try and show them that goaltending is not just the kid that gets left out or doesn't get picked or gets stuck at the back of the ice. So we're just trying to grow the game, and he's in the Maryland area, in Baltimore, Maryland area. So we have kids from all over, just helping them develop and helping them spend their week doing something productive.
That's very cool. Right. Now we can get on to the questions that the fans have kindly sent for us on our fans forum on Facebook. And we'll start with a question from Tracy Thornton. What are you most looking forward to at the Storm Shelter?
I have heard that the small rink makes just an unbelievable atmosphere. So I'm super excited to be back into kind of that small, rowdy arena and bring home some wins to the Storm Shelter.
Next one from Anthony Fox. Are you nervous to be working under a former netminder as a head coach, or are you relishing the feedback and advice that you're likely to receive?
Yeah, I think it's definitely unique. I guess I don't really know how I feel about that yet. I think it can go both ways. You know, there's a potential for him to be hypercritical since he understands the position so well. At the same time, I think that will lend to me learning from him, obviously, getting a lot of time in pro hockey all over the place. So I think there's a lot that I can learn from him. And I think having him as a head coach will just lead to his understanding of the game and improve the team's dynamics defensively as a whole, which I think in turn will hopefully make my job a little bit easier. So I think it'll be good. I think my anticipation is it's going to be a little bit more rigorous in terms of his expectations because he's been there, done that sort of thing. But at the same time, I also feel like the understanding and his experiences are something that I can definitely learn and grow from in my own career.
Now, the next one's not really a question, but I will turn it into a question. How annoying is it when people hear your name and ask if you relate to Avril Lavigne?
I think we're past the generation that asks me that all the time, actually.
At least what I'm looking at on Facebook, it doesn't seem that way.
No, in North America, that was big when I was playing juniors, and my nickname on one team was actually Avril when I was 16, and I obviously didn't like it, which made it stick even more with the teammates. Yeah. Looking back at it now, I think it's pretty funny. No, but I always used to joke around with people as well and try and convince them that I was related, and usually it would work for a little bit, and then they'd finally be like, "No way." I think it's funny. I mean, I'd love to be related to somebody like that. I grew up listening to her music, so I wouldn't hate it.
Yeah, the actual comment was from a chap called Aaron Hepworth, and he says, "Hopefully I don't make the interview too complicated." A nice big gif of Avril Lavigne.
Yeah, so, that's good.
We'll let him off with that. Next question is from Mark Noakes. He asks, what have you heard about Manchester and what attracted you to join the Storm?
Honestly, it was like Coach Ginn was a big factor there. I just wanted to play for somebody who understood the goaltending position. I've played for coaches before that are kind of were offensive forwards or like two-way defensemen in their pro careers, and that tended to shift into the style of play that the team had. So with Coach Ginn coming from a goal, like being a goalie, I had the idea that he would build a team around defense and that essence, and then just the understanding of what he could bring to me as well in my game, and his input to me was a big thing. Manchester as a city, I mean, the soccer was a huge thing. Everyone always talks about the rivalry between Man City and United. So I still haven't picked a team yet, so nobody asked me that. I'm working on it.
I don't think anyone has asked that one, but I'll just nudge you towards the red side.
I thought that was coming for sure. Okay. Say some advice would be good, but I don't know yet. But honestly, it's just the opportunity was there, and I wanted to come in and be in a situation with the city that has kind of the reputation and history that Manchester does. And I just thought it was a great experience and a great opportunity to come and really show what I can do.
Next up from Pierce Thompson, what can you bring to the team?
Hopefully some saves. I feel like that's
we'll
pretty
hope
self-explanatory. No, I mean, I like to think of myself as like a low maintenance, like in the Hayden Lavigne essence, uncomplicated person. I'm just going to come there and, try and bring like a smile to the rink every day. And I feel like that's a bit cliche, but that's just kind of who I am. I'm there to try and make myself better and make my teammates better, and hopefully bring in a lot of wins and a lot of saves with it.
Right. The next question, I have to show you a picture. So this one comes from Simon Harris, and he asks, I'll go wait for the pic. Hopefully the webcam will actually, that's not really working on my webcam there. That just kind of looks like some.
Yeah, I can see it. I got it.
So what are these called?
Definitely rolls.
Rolls. When you said your family was from London, I knew you were going to say rolls. For us Northern folk, we call them bombs or barm cakes.
Gotcha. Yeah, we always, my mom used to always make those with ham, mashed potatoes, and peas. That was like our go-to meal when I was a kid.
The mashed potato one, and that's a new one.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's a bit, to be fair, in this country, that's a very big debate at any time in any part of the country. I live in Nottingham, and they call it a cob. And I've lived here for 8 years, and I still refuse to call it cob, because I know it's a barm. And there's some guys on here who are saying it's a muffin rather than a barm. So you can't win that one, really. And if you begin with M, I think you're okay. Right, next one, we have Daniel Thompson, who's our head steward. So you've played alongside Frankie Millen and Matthew Gagnon before. Did you speak to any of these guys before you decided to come to Manchester?
So I wasn't with Frankie for too long. When I was with Gags, though, we spent good half a season together. I didn't speak to him so much necessarily about Manchester, but more just about the English league in general and his time over there. And he had nothing but good things to say about everywhere that he stopped. So that was right away something that I was excited about when the opportunity came up. It's just everyone that I've heard has played in the league says great things about everywhere that they've played. So Gag spoke very highly of Manchester and the league as a whole. So it right away was a check in the right box for me.
Next from Natalie Hammond. How would you describe your goaltending style?
I like to think of myself as big and patient, but athletic when I need to be. I like to try and make things as simple as possible, but I have the long reach and the athleticism to make saves that are needed at big times.
This one's from Elaine Padley, and you might need a bit of context to it. I'll ask you it first, but then I need to explain. Are you looking forward to the battles with the Steelers?
At Sheffield, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Right?
If there's one team that you have to beat this season, it's Sheffield.
Any rivalries are good rivalries. I think that brings out the most in a team, so I'm definitely looking forward to those.
And now we've got a lad you'll be getting to know by the name of Greg Bold. He's the coach driver, and have you heard of the Greggy bus?
I have not. I've heard that we have good transportation though, so looking forward to getting on the bus for road trips.
Yeah, it's quite famous, the old Greggy bus, so I'm sure you'll know all about that soon enough. Next, we have from Ashley Burgess. Which other notable goalies have you played alongside?
A really big one. So I've played against Jake Ottinger, who currently plays for Dallas. I've played against a few other guys who've made it to the NHL. Played alongside, probably the biggest influence into my game that I've played with is Antoine Bibeau. He played most of his career in the Toronto Maple Leafs organization. And then he's most recently with Seattle and their organization. So I played with him this year in Allen for a little while. And just his experience, I got to learn from that, which was phenomenal. Just he's been there, he's been around the AHL and the NHL. So he was a huge mentor to me for part of this season. And then my classmate at University of Michigan, we played together for 2 years, who recently just signed with Carolina Hurricanes, Jack LaFontaine. So excited to see what he does as he continues his pro career in the NHL and the AHL.
Next, we have from Paul Sly. How did the signing come about? How did you get in touch with Ginner or vice versa? Like, how did the signing take place?
Yeah, kind of crazy all around. So when I was in Stockton, Ginner was currently playing in Kansas City. I became really good friends with Andrew Shortridge, who played in Stockton and Kansas City with Ginner. And then I'm also really good friends with a goaltender by the name of Evan Callie, who plays in France. And honestly, the three of us were just texting individually back and forth. And then it came about that Ginner became that somebody told me that Ginner was the head coach and they were looking for a goalie. And then Ginner happens to know my agent very well as well. And Finner knows my agent really well. So then they got in touch, and it was just kind of a work of things fell into place at the right time and the right connections and the right word of mouth that led Ginner and I to connecting and getting to talk and working things out.
You already touched on this answer to Ashley's question, but from Steve Williams, he's asking about your biggest influences in the game besides your parents and any family members who might have played with you.
So growing up, my idol was Roberto Luongo. So he was like a huge influence when I was a little kid, growing up, watching him play all over the NHL, mostly with Vancouver. And then when he went back to Florida the second time. So he was huge for me when I was little. And then goalies that I've gotten to play with that have been like really influential to me. Antoine Bibeau was huge just because he was the first guy that I kind of got to play with that has had so much pro experience and done what I aspire to do. So that was great. And then I've just played with like everyone that I play with, I think there's something you can learn from. So there's not any one goalie that's been overly influential. I kind of take things from lots of different people and everyone that I've played with, which has been huge to my development.
And final question from the fans, from John Ratcliffe. This kind of relates back to the Steelers thing. Is that please ask him, does he hate the color orange?
Oh, I'd never wear orange. What, kidding me?
There you go. Right answer.
It doesn't go with anything. Doesn't rhyme with anything. It just makes no sense.
Yeah, I made the mistake last year of buying an orange car and then rocking up into the ring car park, and it's like, you got a Steelers color car, and I'm like, whoops. People try to convince me to paint it purple, but
I won't be bringing anything orange over, so we're all good there.
Yeah, you'll be good. Me less so. Well, brilliant. Well, that was my final question that I had from the fans. But before we end, is there anything you'd like to say to the Storm fans?
Just super excited to get over there. This opportunity is huge in my career, and I think it's going to be a good year. It's kind of on the outside of COVID finally, fingers crossed, knock on wood. But I'm just really excited to get over there and get things started and get the place rocking.
Brilliant. Well, Hayden, thank you so much for joining me, taking time out of your schedule. But do hope you have a brilliant rest of the summer, and we and the fans will be seeing you in August.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Be seeing you all soon.